I've never really told anybody this other than a couple close friends of mine, a couple different people. But most people that know me have no idea about what I'm going to say. But yeah, I was kind of in a culty situation for almost 4 years, 2018 to the end of 2021. To give some backstory before this time period, I grew up on Maui in Lahaina, and I grew up in Christian church. I did care about it a lot, but I never had a real life-changing experience that, yeah, made me absolutely sold out to it. I moved to LA by myself when I was 19. I was there for a year. At that point, I was kind of doing whatever, kind of drifted away from living a Christian lifestyle. And I was just super lost, zero identity, zero direction in life. I came back to Maui September 2017. At this point, my sister befriended this lady from Ohio that moved to Maui several months before I did. I didn't know who this lady was. She didn't know who I was. She didn't even know that I was my sister's brother. So I show up home, open the door, and there's this lady, top of the stairs. Immediately, I was like repulsed by her. I didn't want to be around her. I didn't want to talk to her. I was pretty cold with her. And it's weird for me because I'm not really like that, or I never was really like that. And yeah, it was just a weird time. A week later or so goes by. I cut all my hair off. I always had really long hair, but I had like a mini mental breakdown because, again, I had just no identity, no direction, super depressed. I felt like such a failure because I moved back to Maui. It's like I couldn't make it on the mainland. I failed. And like there's this dumb little thing in Hawaii. I don't know if it's everywhere, but it feels like, yeah, growing up, throughout high school, you want to get off the rock, and it's like if you do, you made it. Even if you're not really doing anything, by just leaving the islands, you're like, you did it. And if you don't leave, you're just throwing your life away. It's dumb, but that's what it felt like. Coming back, I was like, oh, I failed. I couldn't do it. I'm a loser. And I was 20 at this point. I was also really depressed because I got all these tattoos between 18 and 20, and it hit me once I moved back. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I don't need these on my body. I like them, but I don't need them on me, and I just was kind of spiraling out. So this lady was at the house, and she asked me, why I cut my hair, because it was, a small shock to most people because it's always so long. So I kind of opened up to her at this point and explained how I'm feeling, the tattoos, and da da da. And she said, oh, well, I can help you. There's this natural way to get rid of the tattoos. So I kind of lit up and it sparked some hope in me. So every day after work, I would go to her apartment for the next 2 months, and she would do this long, tedious process of working on my arm. And there's no talk of religion and God and anything about my life. We just kind of talked about whatever or watched something. And I still really did not like this lady, but she was wanting to help me, so I took her up on her offer. So yeah, 2 months goes by. It's December 4th, 2017. I messaged her in the morning saying, hey, could you give me all the little tools? Because I'm going to be moving back to LA next month. So she texted me, of course, come by, but I need to tell you something before you leave because this might be the last time I see you. So I'm there sitting on her couch, and she begins to tell me very personal, detailed things about my life and what I've done, what I'm thinking, what I've thought. Said I have demons in me, said that if I keep living the way I am, I'm going to destroy my life. And I just kind of sunk into her couch and took it all in, what she was saying. And I was really depressed. I was miserable and had no direction. I wanted purpose. I didn't want to feel like a failure and just continue on what I was doing. So I was like, yeah, I don't doubt it. I absolutely probably have demons in me from the doors I've opened in LA and just, other things I've done. And I was like, yeah, I want to follow God. I want purpose. And at that point, my whole body started to manifest. It's a term we use in the demon world when a demon is like being recognized or agitated or is coming out of you. It's manifesting. So I had like had a very difficult time breathing. I couldn't uh, talk. Like, I kept hysterically laughing at her anytime she spoke, but also I was crying at the same time. So I felt like I was going insane. My tongue was so numb and tingly, and my whole body, head to toe. I was just so uncomfortable. It felt like things were coming out of my skin, like every part of my body. It felt so uncomfortable. And none of this, again, has ever happened to me in my life. I've never experienced this growing up in church. So I had no idea what to expect. I just didn't want to feel what was happening to me. And this went on for several hours. I was there in the morning, maybe like 11 a.m. And I passed out at her place at like 2 in the morning. I remember laying on the floor, like pounding at the ground and yelling. I remember getting up and yelling at the mirror, trying to see the demons in me or something. And yeah, so I passed out. So the next day, it's the second day, December 7th, 2017. We were just there praying, and I felt extremely emotionally dead, like just couldn't feel anything. And then I clearly heard God say, I want you to worship me. So I waited like 20 minutes to do that because I've never sang in front of anybody, and I desperately don't want to sing in front of this lady that I don't even like. But yeah, like 20 minutes later, I start to open my mouth and sing, and immediately I start crying and feel, alive, and my emotions come back. Some more demons left that day. And then the third day, the strong head demon needed to be called out by name. So her parents were on the phone, and they all got the same name in their head. At this point, that demon wouldn't let me speak. So like it muted me. I could not make sound from my mouth. So that freaked me out. But then slowly I was able to stutter and get words out. And then I called that demon out by name to leave my body and everything. And it finally left. It like felt like it got pulled out of my body. And when it left my head, it was like a light switch from dark to light. Such deep joy and peace that hit me, and there was no dark demented thoughts and voices and any of that in my head. It was just all removed, and I'll never forget that feeling. And it was like being in slow motion for 2 weeks and just bliss. In that 2 week period, I still was like cussing and just doing whatever. I wasn't like reading the Bible. I wasn't still necessarily passionate about God. I just felt really, really good. And then one day in the shed I was staying in outside my parents' house, I started to see and feel things in the spirit realm, which has never happened to me before. I've never asked for it. So it was really freaking me out. I didn't tell anybody about it, but I told the lady that delivered me, and she said I could stay at her place. So I got all my things and moved into her place. And this is now the beginning of 2018 in January. So maybe like a day later, after moving in there onto her couch, I'm sitting on her couch. She kneels down in front of me and she looks at me and says, "You're supposed to do this demon deliverance ministry with me and my family for the end times." And half of me is like, "You're insane. What are you talking about? Like, you're freaking me out. This is just weird. End times with your parents and you. Like, I don't even know who you are. I don't even like you. I'm still repulsed by you." And the other half of me was like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. The thing that happened to me was so life-changing and so undeniable. What happened, it was so real, so random. Maybe this is something I'm supposed to be doing. After that, maybe, a week or two later, things already start to get very weird. I started helping her clean houses for like side money and everything. And one day she was being really weird and saying like, I'm the reason why she's happy and why she's excited when she wakes up and all these things. And I left the house that we were both cleaning at to go to the apartment, get all my things and leave, because I was like, this lady is weird. Then her mom calls me as I already left. I was at the skate park, trying to think what what's my next steps? Because at this point, I kind of was at odds with my mom and sister. Because like once I got delivered, it's just things started happening. The church I went to like split. It got destroyed over what happened with me, which was absolutely insane. But yeah, couldn't really go home because there was problems. So I was at the skate park just trying to think what to do. And this lady's mom calls me and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. So and so can be a little weird or whatever, but don't worry and everything." And for some reason, I went back to the apartment and it didn't get better. One of my friends moved in with us in this tiny studio apartment, and he slept on the couch, and I was more than happy to sleep on the floor or buy a separate little futon. But this lady was so adamant about me sleeping in the bed with her. And I was 20. She was 6 years older than me, supposedly. She could have been older than that. She just said she was 6 years older. And it was just so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable being in the bed with this strange older lady that I didn't like at all. And I slept in her bed probably 2 months or so. I had no idea if she did anything to me while I was asleep. I know several times when she was working on my tattoos, I would like fall asleep and then wake up with her like right here while I was on the couch. So I don't know. I don't think she did, but you never know. Even though I was repulsed by this lady, I still had like a fear of her because of what she did for me, or what she was used by God for. God became very, very real to me after I got freed from demons, and it was so real and special, and I wanted to please God. I didn't want to fail him in any way. But yeah, there was this fear I had of her, and she started to manipulate me spiritually and take advantage of me. Anytime I disagree with her or do something she didn't like, she would basically say this line all the time, like, I'm failing God, or the perfect plan God has is not going to happen because of me or what I choose to do. And it worked on me because I feared her, and I more importantly feared God. Like, I didn't want to fail him. So eventually, after a few months of having to sleep in her bed, I finally was able to sleep on the couch when my friend moved out. Eventually, after that, I was able to get a small twin bed, which again, on either of those things, she did not like at all. During the next 4-year process, I was doing demon deliverance ministry with this person. I continued to see into the spirit realm. I continued to feel and just know things. Like I knew how to do the demon stuff. I knew all about it. I could be around somebody and tell them exactly what they were feeling or the dreams they had and stuff like that, and cast demons out of them and watch things unfold right before my eyes, like insane things. And it was just very real. Some unexplainable things. I've had real witches and warlocks come against me in the spirit realm and all sorts of stuff. So I was doing that, and it was absolutely crazy, that life I was living. It was extremely, extremely isolating and lonely. To maintain that kind of power and authority in the spirit realm, you do need to be pretty isolated and, like in the presence of God all day. And that's just what my life was for that 4-year process. And it was crazy because people's lives were changing. All meanwhile, I was slowly getting more and more miserable and hating my life and hating this lady. And she kept trying to make it like we were married. We had to be on the same insurance and same everything. She would absolutely lose it anytime I brought up a female or talked about a female or talked about the idea of having a girlfriend or getting married or having any individual life. One day on the ministry page on Instagram, this girl found the page and messaged us saying like she wanted to get lunch and meet up with us. She said she was deleting Instagram and sent her number. I was so terrified, believing that this lady could see what I was doing, because there's 2 different instances where she knew exactly where I was, who was around me, what was around me, and described it to me without her even being there. And it like terrified me. So to avoid all of that, I didn't even want to deal with it. So I gave the lady this girl's number from Instagram. So I gave her the number and I told her, hey, you want to go get lunch with this girl? So we actually go to lunch and we meet the girl. Immediately, I'm infatuated with this girl because she's, really cute and really the only girl I've been able to be around in the last few years. But she started sharing her like personal story and it was extremely relatable to me. So I was like really starting to have a crush on this girl right off the bat. Immediately, once we finish eating and the girl leaves, the crazy lady is like, she put a love spell on you. You're so infatuated with her. She's not actually changed, or she didn't get out of the stuff she was doing. She's still doing it, which was witchcraft and stuff. She's still doing witchcraft and all that. And I was just like, whatever, you're just insane. This was like in 2019 or so. So I try not to make it obvious. I wait a week later and I ask the crazy lady for this girl's number. And of course, she gives the same line like, if you pursue this girl, the ministry is over and you're going to mess up everything that God wants to do here for people and everything. So we argue about it, don't get the number or anything. And then she's in the bathroom one day at the apartment. Her phone's on the counter. I knew her code. So I go into her phone, go to the girl's number, send it to myself. But as I'm doing that, I feel so dirty and filthy for doing that, even though I deserve it. And this crazy lady sucks. Like, I should have the number, no problem. But I felt bad, so I deleted it from my phone, put her phone back, and I was like, if it's meant to be that I meet this girl, it'll happen. But I still try and get the number naturally from the crazy lady. So she finally gives me the number, and when she texts it to me, I recognize that it's not the same number. Like, the numbers seem different, and when I put it in my phone, it's green. When I put in the real girl's number, it was all blue. It was an iPhone. But I was like, you know what? Let's just see. Maybe for some reason I didn't remember the numbers right, and her phone is off, so it's green. So I text like, hey, this is Noah, so-and-so gave me your number. And then the reply was so obvious. It was, oh, ... I didn't know she gave you my number. Please don't contact me on this number. I was like, oh my gosh. This is a fake number that she created. And I knew she did because she used it for other people. So I was tired of it. I called her up. I called the crazy lady up on her phone. And I just started like cussing her out, screaming, saying how insane she is. So she comes into my dance studio at the time, because I opened a small dance studio in 2019 to 2021. But she came inside and we're talking and arguing. And somehow she manipulated me in all of it to say that how I'm acting is really crazy. And it's because that girl I had a crush on put a spell on me and all this stuff. And I just bought into it. So from that point on into 2020, became so depressed, the lowest point of my life I've ever been at. And I wanted to kill myself 2 different times. I definitely wanted to murder her. And I just hated this person, hated my life. And because I was at this point, I finally prayed a prayer against her, which I've never done for the first almost 3 years before this, because I was scared of like God doing something to me. But I prayed to God that if this lady is really supposed to be doing this stuff with me, that he would bless her business and that it would prosper, and that it'd all be well. And if not, that her business would fail and she would have to move. And sure enough, that's what happened. Her business failed and it got very difficult for her to make money. Shortly after this, my popo died, my grandma. So I went to Oahu with my family and other family for her celebration of life. And this was a great feeling for me because this was the first time being away from this lady in this whole time. So as I was there, I was telling myself that when I get back to Maui, I need to just escape, get all my things and leave the apartment. So as I did that, she was in the apartment and trying her last ditch effort to trap me and saying all the things, and it just didn't affect me anymore. So I left, called up my friend. I was like, hey, can I sleep over? And he didn't know anything about what was happening the last 4 years. So I show up and I'm just like crying, and I tell him and his wife everything that's ever happened in the last 4 years. I was there for like 10 days, and then I finally called up my mom. I was like, hey, can I move back home? Because I haven't really talked to her in the last 4 years because we had such a problem with each other and the family, and they thought I was crazy and all this stuff. But she said, come home. So I'm back home. And then 2 months later, after this horrible situation in the last 4 years, I open up my business, a ping pong club. So I do that. I'm thrown into it. It's all just happening. So that whole year just goes by because it's extremely stressful. And it wasn't until the start of the second year of business where I kind of was able to process the last 5 years and that culty situation. But it was just really extreme still because I was running the business. And then the fire happened in August 2023. So I lost the business, lost the town I grew up in. And yeah, it was just all a lot at that point. Moved to Oahu a month later or 2 months later. I was there for a few months, then moved back home. Was home for a while, and then I moved to LA end of 2024. But yeah, basically what happened post culty situation, a lot of reflection on that time period. I had to relearn a lot of different things because I wasn't really living a normal lifestyle. I was so isolated and just doing demon stuff every day. That's all I was absorbing, like learning more and more about demon stuff. I was just in a different realm, more than half the day, every day. So yeah, and my perception on life was kind of warped because of the lady, and it was very extreme. And thankfully, I still do very much absolutely believe in God, and He's very real, but I do not do that demon stuff anymore. And I'm just kind of doing whatever at the moment. I'd like to restart my business in some form. But yeah, it's pretty insane. There is a lot of other things I left out, but this video is so long as it is. I just wanted to, I guess, share it and get it out there. Maybe if anybody that is watching this has been in a similar situation, whether it be spiritual abuse or manipulation in general, if you're still in it, pray to God that you get out of it and away from the person that's doing it to you, and live your life for yourself, nobody else. And yeah, if anyone has been in this situation and got out, comment below, what your situation was like. DM me more about it, or if you have any questions. I'd love to go more in depth about all this and the things that happened or the things that I've experienced. If there's any way I can, help you through any of it or talk to you about your situation, I'd love to do that. Yeah, I know this was long and kind of boring. It's kind of hard to go back into that time period and pull things out because I feel like as time goes on, I start to block more of that out. I also gone to 6 months of therapy here in LA after the fire, and that helped a lot also to kind of poke at that time period again, and that really helped me. So I think it doesn't make me super angry now when I think about it like before and want to like murder that lady. But yeah, here and there it does suck knowing that a good 4-year chunk of my prime early 20s got robbed from me. But I'm here now. I'm very grateful to be out of that situation. Grateful to be alive and well, and just I'm free now in all forms, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and that's all that matters. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, subscribe for more.